You're listening to the ADHD Support Talk Radio podcast. ADHD Support Talk is brought to you by addclasses.com. Visit www.addclasses.com and sign up for free webinars and online events today. Hello and welcome back to ADHD Support Talk. I'm your co-host, Lynne Edris, and I'm a productivity and ADHD coach. So I help overwhelmed professionals reduce procrastination, improve time management, and get more done with less effort so that they have more time, energy, and bandwidth for the things that matter most to them. So you guys know I am a woman with ADHD myself, so I get it, right? I've been there, I've done that, and I've come out the other side, so to speak. And I know every single one of you can share the same success yourselves. You can learn more about me, what I do, and the programs and services I offer at www.coachingaddvantages.com. That's coaching advantages with 2 Ds. And when you text the keyword hack, HACK, to 33777, I'll send you my 7 foolproof productivity hacks to help you add hours of free time to your weeks by investing just a few smart minutes each day. Well, today I am excited to have with me Lani Lecielle, and we are going to talk in a moment about something that's really important to our ADHD listeners, and that is all things self-love and acceptance. So welcome, Lani.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you for the introduction. I'm Lonnie, everybody. I think the most important thing to know about me is that I love pizza and apple juice. I'm obsessed, but I'm also a self-love and transformation coach. So I help those who are feeling stuck and hopeless in their lives to get unstuck so that they can create the extraordinary lives. You can find out more about working with me at hopeless to hopeful with 2Ls.com. And also I will be hosting an event, a free event for neurodiverse women. It's going to be at neurodivergentkirlsshow.com/Lynn. And you guys, I'm really excited to see you there.
Awesome. That's how we met, right? I'm one of the speakers. You have a great lineup. And it is an important topic for our tribe as well, right? So you can learn more about that. neurodivergentgirlsshow.com/Lynn, and that's LYNNE. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Easy peasy, right? So the whole self-love, self-acceptance thing it's huge for our tribe with ADHD. Right? It really is. And I think it impacts men as well as it impacts women, but I think it does tend to impact us differently, kind of, across, between genders or across genders, but however you want to frame it. But it's a really personal and really individual thing more than anything. Like, what would you want our listeners to know about your thoughts on self-love, self-acceptance, and why they're so stinking important? Because they are.
I think especially for those of us with ADHD, a lot of us, especially a lot of women, grew up undiagnosed. And mm-hmm. So a lot of us did not grow up having an explanation for why we couldn't focus or why we weren't reaching up to our potential. By the way, I hate that word because I heard it my whole life. And so we have a lot of unexplained things growing up and a lot of things that we throw at ourselves because we don't feel like we're enough or whatever the case is. And then we end up feeling very paralyzed in our own brains and feeling like something's wrong with us when we can't sit down and do the same things that neurotypicals can do, that some of us can't sit down at an office and type all day, and some of us can't do whatever the case is. But on the reverse of that, we're brilliant. And right. There are so many things that we can do or that we do naturally that neurotypicals don't do, which is fine for them and it's fine for us as well. But I think both sides lose a lot. I feel like
absolutely
and neurodiverse people lose a lot because neurodiverse people are meant to feel like, or made to feel like they're not enough or that their brain is less than those who are neurotypical just because our brains work differently. But on the reverse side of that is the side of, wow, I actually have a brilliant brain. I just have to learn how to use it. And once you get to that place where you accept who you are and actually love who you are and the way that your brain works, then the sky is not even the limit for you. Like, you can do anything because now you know, like, hey, I just have to find what works for me. Absolutely. And then I can do whatever.
Absolutely. And one of the things I talk about a lot is, I think for a lot of us who are adults with ADHD, especially those of us who were diagnosed later in life, but even for many of us who were diagnosed as children and didn't learn to manage it well, it's that we know, kind of intellectually, we know what we're supposed to be doing. We even kind of know intellectually how to do it, or at least how other people seem to do it. Right. So when you know what to do, and you even think you know how to do it, and you intend to do it, and a lot of times even want to do it, but you don't, whatever that is, I think most of us over time automatically start to attribute that sort of lack of follow through, or lack of performing in the way we know we're capable of, to something that's like a moral character flaw. I don't have good follow through. I don't have a good work ethic. I lack self-discipline. I lack willpower. And worse, right? It gets way worse than that. And if you really think about it over time, it's kind of logical how we get there, but it's also a very, very, very important thing to undo, because I agree 100% with you. Once you learn how to do things in ways that work for you, I mean, really, your limits are the limits that you would have regardless of what your brain wiring is, right? I mean, it really, the sky can be the limit at the very most. So I agree with that wholeheartedly. It's such an important concept. What are some of the things that you see in terms of the way it's like this sort of, I always call it like internalization. Really what I call it is like the blame and shame cycle that we end ourselves in. But where do you see that showing up?
I think I see it everywhere, but like it can be at home where you can't wash the dishes, and then you can't do certain things at home the right way or the way that you think you should do them, and then it turns into, as you said, moral judgment, and then you
Right,
tell yourself that you're worthless, you have no way of doing anything. It show up at work where you're not at a job that fulfills you. You know what I'm saying?
right,
So, but it's the job that is not the right fit for you. But instead of attributing it to, hey, maybe this job is not the job that's going to serve me the best, you attribute it because of the way that you see yourself, because of the way that
yeah,
your brain, you don't think like, oh, this is not the right job for me, let me work towards getting something else going on. You think, oh, I'm a failure, I'm the one that can't do this, everybody else can do this but I can't do this, and then
right,
that starts to actually compound on that initial feeling of, oh, I probably can't do anything anyway, and then you're somewhere where you don't belong. And by don't
right,
belong, it's just that this is not the place that serves you,
right.
and that's
And
just the fact of the matter.
absolutely. And it when you are in that sort of, I call it self-flagellation, blame and shame, you're judging yourself, you're attributing all of those, things to your moral character and who you are kind of deep down as a person. You can't see like the practical side of it, right? So maybe it's a job that you want, maybe it's a job that you like, maybe it's a job that could fulfill you, but you haven't found a way to do the job that works for you, or fulfill the responsibilities or whatever that works for you. Maybe it's not a good fit for you. Maybe it's not where you should be. Maybe, there's lots of other stuff that comes into play, but when we go down that sort of blame and shame spiral, we can't see that stuff, right? All we see is that, and everybody's sort of tapes they play in their head are different, but I suck. I can't do anything right. I'm never going to be successful. Therefore, I
Exactly.
suck. I can't do anything. I'm never going to be successful, right? It's
Exactly.
huge.
Yeah. And that's what I think is like the part where you said that it might be a good fit for you too. The problem is where you start from a place of already having a mentality about yourself.
Right.
So even if it's a good fit for you, but you just need to figure out how to do it differently, or you need to ask for accommodations, or whatever is the practical way to get out of it, you're not thinking in a practical way
Mm-mm.
because you've already said to yourself that anything that you're not doing correctly, quote unquote, or anything that you're not doing the way that everybody else is doing, whatever the case is, whatever's going on, you've already put that on, oh, it's my fault. I'm
Right.
this, I'm that. So you're not even thinking in the space of, actually, maybe this is just something that I should ask to have done differently. Or maybe this is something that, maybe I shouldn't try to do this one thing and take 7 hours. Maybe I should try to break this into 20-minute tasks. Maybe I should try to, whatever the case is, whatever works for you. You're not in a place where you're even ready to figure out what works because you're not thinking, oh, let me change this. You're thinking, this is my fault. I just need to try harder to do it this way because if not, then I'm a failure.
Right. And there it is. Try harder, right? I just need to try harder. I need to work harder. I need to buckle down. I need to pull up my big girl panties. I need to sacrifice, right? When really what you need to do is shift your thinking out of that, it's me, it's my fault, that blame and shame. And, and you can't you said it, and I say this all the time. I know everyone who's listening, who's probably ever heard me speak before, maybe even just one time, has probably heard me say this, but you cannot be in like the mode of thinking that is proactive, that is problem solving, that is going to help you find solutions to what you're struggling with, and be in a mode of thinking that is blame, shame, this is all my fault, I suck, I'm never going to get it right. You can't do those two things at the same time. They are diametrically opposed to one another. I always say, when you are in blame and shame, you are 180 degrees from where you need to be to find solutions that solve your problems.
Mm-hmm.
And so many of us just accept that kind of thinking, that kind of perspective as our reality and our truth because we've reinforced it for so long, when learning how to shift out of, how to catch that thinking, how to shift out of it, and then get into that proactive problem solving. I mean, that out of the box problem solving, creative problem solving is, for most of us, that's like an ADHD superpower, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I think that it's just like you said, if you're in the place of blame and shame, if you're in the place of whatever the case is, then you're not, because with us, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I know that I can do whatever I put my mind to, because I know that I'm a worthy person, because I know that I love myself. When something is not working, I don't think, oh man, this is my fault, I'm a failure. I'm not thinking that. But if I were thinking that, then that would take away from my ability to even think of doing it in a different way. There's been
Right.
several things that I've done, even back when I was working in accounting. I used to work in accounting, and there was this one project that I was doing that if I had tried to do it the way that my coworker was doing it, I would have still been there today.
Right.
I would have still been
On the
there
same project, right?
on the same project. But no,
Right.
I didn't do that because I already know, like, I can't do it that way because it's gonna never work for me. So what did I do? I took the extra maybe hour and created a system that worked, because I know that
Right.
I'm a good person. I know that I can do it. I just know that I have to do it a little bit differently. And then I finished
Absolutely.
way before my coworker because I found a way that worked for me. But if
Right.
I was internalizing, if I was saying, man, she's so much further than me, that's my fault, that's because I'm not smart, that's because I can't do this, that's because my brain doesn't work, and then I'm going to sit there in that. And then
Right.
even though it wouldn't have been the best way for me to do it, even if I was trying to do it the way she was doing it, it would be slower because I'm stuck in, I can't,
Right.
I can't, I'm not worthy, I can't do this, I'm a failure. But instead of doing that, being able to be proactive, even in a job, as you said, that wasn't the right fit for me. So even in a place that does not fully serve you, you can just do so much better by not having that mentality of internalizing things that don't work. It doesn't work. It's not a bad thing. It just doesn't
It's
work
just a
that way.
thing.
It's just a thing.
Right.
It just
Right.
doesn't work for you that way. So you just get to be like, okay, well, this is not working. This is neutral. This is a neutral situation.
Yeah.
And this is not working this way. So now I'm just gonna try it a different way.
And when you say that new and you keep that like neutrality, you can hear the different energy in that. You can hear the different tone in her voice. You can hear it. It turns from, something that's ugly to something that's full of possibilities. So
Yeah.
it also then makes you open to look at different things to try. And again, in that neutral sort of headspace, you're just trying stuff. You're
Yeah.
not a failure because the first thing wasn't a good fit for you. You're more open to trying strategies, and you're one of the things that I have seen with clients, forever, is that when you can start to shift that thinking, that sort of headspace, that perspective, even stuff they've tried before works better because they're approaching it with a different mindset. So clients will say things to me like, oh, I've tried, Pomodoro and that doesn't work for me. I'm like, okay. Or actually what's really funny is I hear all the time, like, oh, I've tried planning and that doesn't work for me. And that always makes me chuckle because there are like an infinite number of different ways to plan. Right. And that's very personal and very individual. But in general, all planning is looking ahead and knowing what's coming down the pike and having an idea about how you're going to deal with it. So it's really more about like awareness and being proactive. That works for everybody, right? Universally. But you've got to get yourself to that neutral kind of mind space where you can approach it. I love the word neutral, really, I think says it all.
I think because of the fact that when things are neutral, then you just take them as they are and you don't give them energy, you don't give them meaning, you don't give them emotion. Like, for example, a little bit off topic, but for example, I used to get really bad road rage, right?
Yeah.
And I'm driving in the road and I'm just like, why would this person move? And then I was just like, this is a neutral situation. I can either switch lanes or I
Hmm.
can choose to just not be bothered by it. And that's it.
Right.
So just in the same way, it's always a choice. Like you always get to have the choice. How am I going to react to this? How am I going to move forward? How am I going to approach this? How am I going to attack this? Okay, I have 100 emails I need to send today. How can I get that done?
Right.
But I have the space of, okay, I'm a worthy person. I love myself. I know that I can do this, or whatever the task is. I know that I can do this. Now it's a matter of, okay, so what has worked in the past? What didn't work in the past? How can I
Right.
get this done? And then throughout the day, if I have to call people and tell them, hey, call me every hour and tell whatever it is. But
Right.
I'm in that practical headspace. I'm in that possibility headspace because I know that it's not me. It's not
Yeah.
that I can't do it. It's not that, nobody is gonna ever think that I can do it's not any of that stuff. It's simply that I have 100 emails to send. That's it.
Right.
And if
And I've just got to find a way to do it that works for
yeah,
me.
exactly. And if I don't
Yeah.
send 100 emails, and this is important, if I don't send 100 emails, that's also neutral.
Yeah.
That's also neutral. If you don't do the thing that you set out to do, yes, you want to. So yes, you're going to think, okay, how can I make sure I do this tomorrow? How can I, whatever the case is? But it's also neutral. It's just, okay, well, this didn't work. Let's find
Okay.
something that works. And that's it.
Okay. Yep. So being in that sort of analytical, proactive problem solving headspace happens, and it can't happen otherwise. It can only happen when you make sure that you keep that neutral sort of response, right? So again, it's not about not accepting responsibility. That's very different than placing blame and being ashamed, right? So you can take responsibility and say, I didn't get the 100 emails sent that I said I was, or that I, committed to sending. Okay, that sucks. You know, how can I do better next time? You can use that sort of analytical problem solving approach. What happened? Was there something I could have done differently? And how can I make this better going forward?
Right.
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 And again, it's neutral. It's not like, you're not a bad person.
Yeah.
It, but
And it
it's
comes
also not abdicating responsibility. And
right.
that's really important,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. Because then you can't grow if you just say, okay, well, no problem, whatever. You do want to find what works, but what's important to me is remembering that I'm not what I do, I'm who I am. So
Right.
yes, I have tasks that I'm going to complete, that I get to complete, that I get to whatever the case is. But that doesn't my worth is not attached to what I do.
Yeah.
So my worth is not attached to, okay, well, I had 20 tasks today. Mondays are my task days. So I'll put like 20 tasks on my thing, and I have my people text me every once in a while, hey, are you on task? And I check, 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 check. And that's the only day that seems to work for me for some reason. I don't know. But the point is, if I don't do 20 tasks, that doesn't change me being a worthy person.
Yeah.
That doesn't change that. It just means, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't try to do 20. Maybe I should try to do 50. Whatever the case is, but you're in a place of, what I'm doing is separate from who I am. I
Yeah.
want to do things. I'm going to do things. I have to. I mean, I get to do things, right? And I
Right.
have goals. I have intentions that I have set. So I have to step up and be that person that makes that happen, of course. But
Absolutely.
but that doesn't change who I am. That doesn't change that I show up as a positive person. That doesn't change that I show up as a person with love. That doesn't change that I'm a kind person. That doesn't change any of my personality. That doesn't change my character because of what I do or don't do.
Yeah. So you can't measure your worth by how many things you crossed off some list in a day. Period, right? Your worth is your worth. It's who you are deep down as a person. And I think a lot of us have kind of confused who we are with what we do, or entangled that. Yeah, it feels good to get a lot of stuff done. It feels good to follow through on what you intend to do. That feels great. But that doesn't change who you are, and it doesn't change your value in this world. And
Exactly.
that's an important thing. It's an important thing to like reconcile yourself with, but it's not easy.
Yeah, no, it's not easy. But I think that's where our two things collide, because it's like
Hmm.
you need to have that part of you that's like, I actually accept me how I am, actually love me how I am. But you also do need to have that part where you're like, okay, well, now I need to get things done.
Right.
And they work together, because not only now do you have the space of I love myself no matter what I do, no matter whatever the case is, I am a worthy person because I exist and not because of what I can do or what I've done. And then you also have that side of, and I can also get things done.
Yes.
And then you're, I mean, then you're unstoppable. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it shifts from, and I heard you say this, and I'm not sure, just to make sure our listeners picked up on it, it shifts from I have to do to I get to do.
mhm,
Right. So then I get to do something that is linked to, even if it's not something I like or something I enjoy, like right now we're recording this, it is March 5th. I am like, in my, I'm using my quotey fingers, in my spare time, I'm up to my eyeballs in taxes. Lonnie and I were talking about this the other day. I'm up to my eyeballs in taxes, and it's not my favorite thing to do, but I don't think of it like I suck at this, I'm horrible at this. I do think like, sometimes I don't want to do this. There are a million things I'd rather be doing, like maybe more than a million, but I get to do this because I have this great business that I've built, and I get to do this because it's tied to me, taking care of my family. I get to do this, it's about reframing how you're looking at things. And that all starts with, I think that all starts with awareness, the recognition that how you're looking at things, how you're seeing things, how you're thinking about yourself and the things that you need to do, want to do, has to change.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. So do you have any tips, any strategies, anything you want to share with our listeners?
I think one thing that I would say that is something that we've said, I just would like to reiterate. Everything is, it's neutral. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
don't put things on things like, oh, I didn't do this, so I'm this person. Like, don't
Right.
detach from what you do. Detach who you are from what you do. I think is probably one of my biggest things. But also, I think being worthy is not a question of anything else. Like
Right.
that's what it is. Like being worthy, and that's like what I want to like put to everybody. Like you're not worthy because you've done this or because you've done that. That's the problem, because once you start thinking that your accomplishments are why you're worthy, that can be taken from you. You
Absolutely.
can't take it from me if I realize that just because I show up, I'm worthy. Just because I'm
Yeah.
here, I'm worthy. Just because you're here, you're worthy. Just because you exist and that you show up as a person in this world, you are worthy. It's not because of what you've done, and you're not less worthy because of what you haven't done. And I think
Absolutely.
that just taking off the pressure, I think I may be going on to another tip. Just take pressure off of yourself. Like put pressure on in the sense that yes, you have your things that you want to get done. You have things that you're gonna do, but take the pressure off of life in thinking that everything is huge.
Yeah.
I think especially us, I feel like we tend to put everything on our shoulders, and everything is this huge thing, this insurmountable thing. Life is this huge insurmountable thing. We feel like we're not going to catch up. We feel like we're going to always be behind, all that stuff. You're not on any timeline.
Yeah.
You're not. You're living, and you're doing these things because you get to do these things.
Yeah.
And once you reframe, as you said, once you reframe and you take the pressure off of, oh God, I can't because I have to, and I had it, all that pressure. Take that pressure off of yourself and just be like, okay, so let's see what works. Let's see what works. Let's see what moves me. Let's see what serves me. Let's see how I can serve other people. Let's see, like, all those things. Once you look at things from, I know this is said a lot, and I'll just explain what I mean. But like when you look at things from like the abundance mindset that they call,
Right.
you don't look at it as I have to do this. I'm running this race that I'm never going to catch up with everybody. You're not in the race with everybody else. You're not in a
Yeah.
race with anybody else. You are just, this is your path. You get to walk this path. And yeah, you might see some people, they might walk past you, or they might be whatever the case is, but they're just walking their path as well. It has nothing to do with you. It really has nothing to do with you, what anybody else is doing. Take pressure off of yourself. Breathe a little bit. Realize that most things aren't that serious. Most things are not that serious. Most things are not life or death. And just live in that.
Absolutely. That's it. Play that part again if you can. It's really powerful, and it's really important, right? And it all starts with being aware, right? It all starts with Paying attention to how you're thinking about things when you feel that pressure, paying attention to what your thoughts are, what those emotions are, especially those things that are kind of like recurring theme thoughts. I'm not sure if that makes any sense. There's a lot of names for them. Automatic negative thoughts, thought patterns, whatever. But paying attention to those things that you tell yourself and think about yourself when you're feeling the pressure, when you're feeling like you're not, performing in the way that you want to, and then really start to question them and challenge them. Is this really true? Is this always true? When has this not been true? Right? So that you start to look for proof to the contrary. We're really good at looking for proof that reinforces the fact that we screwed up or again, or that we fell short, again. So we really don't notice as much or give enough energy, give enough thought, give enough kind of like, what do you call it? Screen time to the things that do go well. And I think that's where a lot of us really get ourselves in trouble. So one of the things I encourage my clients to do is, it's kind of like a form of gratitude. It's a form of a gratitude practice, but I call it like internal gratitude. So every single day, you pick the time. I like to do it as I'm falling asleep, but find 3 things that you can give yourself credit for. Whether it's 3 things that went well that day, 3 things about you that are positive that you can be grateful for, anything, but it's got to be about you. Right? And that starts to shift your, I always say that we're good at we tend to focus on the gap, where we are, where we want to be, and we tend to pay more attention to the gap itself and not notice as much when the gap is starting to close and that we're making some progress. So it starts to shift your attention out of the gap and onto giving yourself some credit for the things that are closing the gap. And I think it's a big shift for a lot of my clients. Absolutely. Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you so much. I think this is a really important topic. I really appreciate your spin on it. I always love to hear what other people have to say about the kind of things that are, I think such important topics to our listeners.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me, man. It's been an honor. It's an honor, really.
It has been for me as well. So tell the listeners one more time, who you are, how they can learn about your event, all that good stuff.
Yes. So if you are wanting to be at this event, I have amazing speakers. Lynne's on there. She's an amazing interview for neurodiverse women. So that is at neurodivergentgirlshow.com/Lynne, Lynne, and that will be on this page somewhere. So I'm really wanting to see you guys. If you want to work with me, you can learn more about that at hopeless2hopeful with 2Ls.com. So yeah. Full. The L, by the way, the 2 L's are in the full and not in the hopeless.
Right. So full of hope. So hope, yeah, full, hope. Full. Yeah, awesome. Exactly. I love that. I love that. And that is meaningful as well. So that is awesome. Little pun there. Yeah. Thank you so much for being with us. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please, feel free to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. The more 5-star reviews we have, the more people can find us and really benefit from the content of the show. And also, feel free to jump in and join our ADHD Support Talk Facebook community, where we can share tips and strategies. You could share your insights, connect with other listeners. We have a really nice community going there as well. So thank you so much, Lonnie. Thank you all for listening. As always, I appreciate your attention, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.